Jesus. I gave so many people the shits with this tonight. Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Just got back from the Sydney premiere of James Gunn's Superman, so this is going to be a spoiler-free review. As always, maybe in a few days' time I may dabble in a spoiler-filled review, but for the most part this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm just going to say this now, there may be certain plot points and maybe certain phrases that I may use that may be considered a spoiler. I don't know, you can't be too careful these days. But when it comes to James Gunn's Superman, there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot of pressure. This is the start of the DCU. We've had the DCEU that has come to an end, and now we have the DCU. So, you know, no pressure at all. Now, going into this, you know, you try and tape your expectations. Was I entertained? Was I impressed? Snyderbots and Laugh reacts to every article regarding this film aside. Did I dig this? Yes, I did. Yeah, absolutely. This definitely feels like the Superman of old that I've kind of been craving. And it's not to take away from what has come before that. You know, that was a much more darker approach to the Man of Steel, whereas this one just feels so much more jovial, an adventure serial. I really enjoyed David Corenswet as the Man of Steel. I love watching him as Superman. He was very earnest. He was very endearing. So first and foremost, one of the biggest things I loved about this film, there was no fuck around factor. When this film starts, they get straight into it. They get straight into the action. They also, you know, get straight into the fact that Clark and Lois are seeing each other. Lois knows that Clark is Superman. So I really appreciated that there was no fuck around factor in that regard. There was no slow burn. There was no slow build up. Everything just started to happen, which was great. And this is what James Gunn really leans into with this film, is this is a very comic booky film in, quite frankly, you know, a really good way. It really leans into the corniness, where if you read a comic, you know, there's a lot of corniness in comic books, believe it or not. Who'd have thought? And yeah, there definitely are times during the film where there are very James Gunn isms, and, you know, there are kind of, I wouldn't say throwbacks, but there are certain points of the film where you're like, oh my God, this is so Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think that's just those James Gunn isms. But also at the same time, I feel like, but at the same time, I feel like it's just embracing that comic bookness. And the film has such a rich color palette to it as well. It's a nice breath of fresh air. Like I said at the beginning of this video, it's definitely the tonic I needed, where I needed something just a bit more jovial, upbeat, and very earnest. Now, when it came to Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, I don't feel like the trailers did him justice. I really dug him as Lex Luthor. He's a proper piece of shit, which is what you want with a Lex Luthor. You know, someone that just no holds barred, does not give an absolute shit. And it essentially just comes down to Lex wants to destroy Superman. But at the same time, there is something else going on behind the scenes with Lex and Superman, and it delves into that otherworldly comic book realm, which I might get into in a spoiler review, but it's not of this world, which I appreciate, and Lex is part of that other world, I guess you could say. So again, Gunn leaning into the severe comic book realm, which is not a problem for me at all. I think my gripes come with the fact that the pacing and the editing is very jarring at times. And like I said at the beginning of this review, I love the fact that there is no fuck around factor, where it gets right into the action. It gets right into the fact that Clark and Lois are seeing each other. Lois knows that Clark is Superman. But there are times where it just gets so jarring with the cast of characters. And my biggest concern going into this is that these massive cast of characters weren't going to get ample screen time. Unfortunately for me, I feel like they didn't get their ample screen time and their time to shine. And the litmus test for me was, I brought my mum to the premiere tonight. And I remember mum leaning over at one point when Nathan Fillion was introduced into the film as Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern. Mum leans in, she's like, who's the dude with the shonky haircut? I'm like, oh shit, okay. So there is a lot of characters that need somewhat explaining. So there is going to be definitely a demographic of people that aren't exactly going to know what's going on. But at the same time, James Gunn is trying to set up this DCU, and moving forward, you've got a lot to explain, but there is still a lot to explain in this film. And I think, if anything, I just want to see more of David Corenswet as Superman. And there are times where I would see him, he's in peril or he's injured, he's down and out, and I'm like, man, I need to see you as the Man of Steel. But then when I do see him as the Man of Steel, it's absolutely beautiful, it's triumphant, the score as well. Now, the interesting thing is you don't see much of Clark Kent in this film, which is kind of like, it harkens back to the Batman. Matt Reeves is the Batman with Robert Pattinson. You barely see Bruce Wayne. You see a lot of Batman, and you see, for the most part, a lot of Superman in this, which I'm totally okay with. But I like the fact that you see Superman vulnerable. You see the childlike qualities of Superman, and it's just more or less trying to find ample screen time for these massive cast of characters, for this huge universe we're trying to set up here. And yes, there are a few cheeky Easter eggs thrown amongst and peppered throughout this film. There is a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. I wouldn't say they're integral to the plot of the film, but they're kind of fun nonetheless. So guys, overall, this is definitely a decent start to the DCU. I understand, appreciate, and respect what James Gunn has done with his approach to the world of Superman, the cast of characters. This is definitely, for me, the Superman of old. I definitely got Christopher Reeve vibes. I like that it's that swashbuckling adventure serial approach to it. It definitely leans into the corny, the goofy at times, but that's totally okay with me because it's just kind of what I needed to see with a Superman at the moment. And again, I think my biggest gripes come from the editing, the choices of how to represent certain characters and their screen time. I wanted to see more. I need this fleshed out. Hell, if this was another hour for the runtime just to see all these characters fleshed out, absolutely brilliant. Like, there are certain characters which I'll probably get into with a spoiler video later this weekend, where it's just like, dude, you're one of the biggest players in the comic and you pretty much just have like several lines in the film. What's going on? That may or may not be a dog of sorts, but you know, neither here nor there. All that aside, it still makes me excited to see what comes next. And with that, I'm going to be giving Superman 3.5 laugh reacts out of 5, because they just laugh react at every article about this movie. So guys, with that being said, once you have seen Superman, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Did it live up to the hype? Or, you know, we'll see how it goes next time. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.